Hey there, Ryan Reynolds here. It's a new year, and you know what that means. No, not the diet. Resolutions. A way for us all to try and do a little bit better than we did last year. And my resolution, unlike big wireless, is to not be a raging and raise the price of wireless on you every chance I get. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited. See mintmobile.com for details.
Yet another week's gone by, and we haven't yet bombed Syria, but Obama sure as hell is doing everything in his power to make sure that happens, huh?
Really? The first shot, you're going to fire a shot across the bow? And it'll go over Syria and into...
Right into Iran.
Iran.
Hopefully.
Well,
if you're going to make a shot like that, you might as well go for the gusto, right?
I want to hear Obama call his shot, because he's so into basketball, right? I want him to be like, okay, so... From the cruiser, it's going to go over Israel, bounce off of Assad's house, skip across Jordan, and blow up Ahmadinejad. Nothing but Ahmadinejad. And then Kerry will be like, okay, my turn.
Yeah. Off the foyer to my wife's boat.
I dare Joe Biden to play Battleship with Obama, like each one controls a destroyer.
No, and I'll tell you why.
And to call their shots.
Because
Biden would be like, okay.
Joe's the only one stupid enough who'd blow up his own ship accidentally. C4, damn it! All right, get in the raft. He would be like Tug Benson from Hot Shots. The Admiral, Lloyd Bridges.
Biden would be like, okay, so I'm going to bounce this off of your ship. No, wait, it'll be awesome. So off of your ship to the fishing trawler. No, Joe, you don't understand how this works.
There's like a 5-minute timer. This thing won't even be armed until it's off the boat 5 minutes. It can bounce off a couple things. Yeah, Joe, just go through the hull. That's not the point. Listen, I'm the vice president. Don't you think I know stuff?
Right. I'm kind of a big deal, and there's a reason I got this post.
Now, Joe, if you could just put pants on, because, the family's here.
That's not a joystick.
I don't know why you're in my living room right now.
That's not a joystick. We're not playing Atari. Okay, can you just take your hand off it?
Oh, God. Sadly, I think these conversations do happen in our White House.
So how was your week?
It was actually really good.
Okay.
Red Sox did really well.
How'd they do?
I just said really well.
Well, I don't know what that
don't
means.
You listen to me?
Really well historically for the Red Sox is they won a game. I mean, I'm asking you, how they did.
I'm sorry, aren't you an Oakland fan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who has more World Series?
Is it tempered glass in the house that you live in?
Who
is it tempered glass?
Who has more pennants?
Pennants or rings?
Rings.
Going back how far?
1900 when the Oakland Athletics, well, they weren't Oakland, but when the athletics organization was
No, let's talk about when they were in Oakland.
Now you're just playing semantics.
Why? I can't include any of the...
Why can't...
Before they were the Red Sox, I can't include...
Okay, who has the better stadium? Never mind, forget I said anything.
Moving on, how was your week?
It was great. The Athletics did really well. Not for the Athletics, but by Major League standards. So that was good.
Well, that's new.
They took 3 out of 4 from Tampa.
Mm-hmm. And I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That was huge.
I'm here for you.
You let me down on the 4th one, but whatever.
It's 3 out of 4.
750 is a good winning percentage in the series. I'm just saying that was good.
They beat Texas 2 out of 3.
Huge.
That's huge.
Big team, too.
So now
Texas is a good team.
So's Tampa.
Yeah, no, Tampa's good but they've been on a slide. Texas was rearing going into the series.
Been on a slide since they met Oakland.
They were on a slide before that. Oakland just beat up on a team that was hurting. That's good.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Do you?
That's exactly what you're supposed to do.
Okay. So they end the series 1 game up. What is this, sports talk radio? Nobody wants to hear this.
Why?
So we talked about something. Remember when the whole Colorado secession came up?
I did.
The northern counties of Colorado want to secede, and we said,
hallelujah.
Yeah, good, because Colorado's fucked up. Screwed up, and we don't want to go there. I almost did it again tonight,
I know.
But I didn't.
Let me see. That was 6.5 minutes into
you
the
can't
show.
count that. I didn't
it.
do it, but I didn't. I didn't drop it. Listen, I'm playing Obama tonight. Okay,
You're
I'm not
going to
drop the bomb. Yeah, no, I'm not going to drop the bomb. So.
Oh, good. So you're going to walk back everything you say, too?
Right. No, I'm going to switch.
And then lie about it?
Right. Remember, we also talked about there was a push in California, right, that great state on the West Coast, in 1941 to the northern counties and part of the southern counties in Oregon to form the state of Jefferson.
Yeah, you brought that up, I think, 2 weeks ago on the show, maybe 3.
Maybe more than that, whenever the Colorado thing hit. And it was supposed to be the state of Jefferson, was what they wanted to call it, because they didn't feel that their rights were being cared for by the legislature and so forth. Well, interesting thing, Colorado.
It's still sad that it took it this long for this to happen. But
well,
go
hang on a second. For what to happen?
For somebody to want to succeed.
Right.
Like
so
2013,
everybody wants
they're like,
to succeed.
all right, they've done enough. Now it's time to go.
Well, with all these
really,
measures,
that's the line in the sand? Okay.
Listen, California legislature is crazy. Literally, we've talked about it. The Democrats and the progressive Democrats have such a majority, the Republicans can't even filibuster. It's ridiculous, the stuff that they can get through in California right now.
I picture is walking into like the California House of Assembly or whatever they call it, and have it just be like Pee-wee's Playhouse. And just people are just running around, and there's like a fake pterodactyl from the ceiling, and it's just piles of
like
ridiculous...
a scene from Big.
Yeah. Just piles of ridiculous bills they just can't wait to sign and push through.
Actually, I think if you walk in there, I think there's a big red flag, and like instead of a gavel, it's a hammer, but he also holds a sickle.
Well,
like
he's
a
working party.
And does, right, because they care about the workers. That's what and there's a picture, like the picture of Washington, and Lincoln has been replaced with like Cesar Chavez and Mao. That's what I envision it to be.
Too bad it wasn't Chairman Meow the cat. That would have been much better. Either way.
We could do a picture of Chairman Meow and put it on the website.
Either way, the United Socialist State of California is as it is.
You're screwing up my story.
Sorry, go on.
So we made the point when Colorado was going to, so where would the 51st star go? Would we just make Puerto Rico a state? Because you have to balance it out, right?
We just add a little tag on the top and just stick it on.
Where you could take it off. I like it.
I even said that maybe we should remove another state, i.e. California, and replace it.
There's a few states we should. Well, anyways, on the 3rd, I digress. On the 3rd, the Siskiyou County Board of Supervisors voted 4-1 to secede from the state of California. A California county actually voted to secede. It was, again, 4-1 vote, and they want to, again, renew this push for the state of Jefferson. So there's a...
so it's proof that it's not an entirely lost cause in California?
Right. Well, at least the northern counties.
And then they all went into the transgender bathroom and used it at the same time after the vote. So
I don't.
cool.
Yeah, but I don't think they really. I think they're pretty much giving the big middle finger to the state on that one. I hope they are. Do you want to hear this resolution?
Yeah, please.
That Siskiyou County, this declaration.
Please.
Okay, so it sounds pretty awesome. So here's the resolution, the declaration. It's going to take some time, so go ahead and sit back and eat some Doritos or something. No, don't put your microphone away. Let the sound flow. So whereas
that's
there
what
are,
everyone wants to hear is me chomping.
Yeah, why not? You do it all the time, at the bit to say something. So whereas there are times in our history when it is apparent that the political separation of one people from another becomes necessary, both for the survival of the one as well as the continued well-being of the other. Wow, this actually sounds founder-esque. Whereas the Siskiyou Board of Supervisors recognizes the lack of representation for rural and frontier counties in the California legislature, and the board is aware of an increasing tendency by the state of California to exercise legislative and fiscal malfeasance in the form of illegal fire tax, property rights violations, assaults upon Second Amendment rights, as well as disregard of other unalienable rights of the citizens of Siskiyou. Whereas agencies of the executive branch of the state of California are engaged in an attempt to remove 4 fully functional, well-maintained hydroelectric dams on the Klamath River over the objections of the Board of Supervisors and those of a vast majority of the citizens of Siskiyou County. Whereas the state and federal agencies, I love that, got to throw the federal in there, through the process commonly known as, quote, sue and settle, have denied the county of Siskiyou, its businesses, the citizens, access to our most abundant natural resources, causing untold harm to our economy as well as our health and public safety. Whereas the Board of Supervisors for the county of Siskiyou have come to the realization that the state of California is ungovernable in its present form. It shall therefore be resolved that the Board of Supervisors for Siskiyou County would endeavor to make a, quote, new start. This board desires, with the involvement of our citizens and hopefully with the involvement of other counties within rural California, to withdraw Siskiyou County from the state of California. The board would, quote, start over by helping to form a new state which represents the needs, provides opportunity, protects the rights, liberties, public health, and safety of the people of the new state of Jefferson.
Wow.
The above resolution was on motion, made and seconded on this day of. Boom.
When did they start the process?
I believe they started it back in August. So, and then they had the vote today, or yesterday, September 3rd.
When can I get my Siskiyou state license?
I believe it was August 26th is when the August 13th was when this declaration was brought to the agenda. And it was voted on yesterday and again passed overwhelmingly with supposedly a packed meeting room.
That is
So
awesome.
There's your 52nd state, right? Whichever one gets it done first.
How can we help that process along? Can we send money? I don't understand. How does it work?
So there's a website, and it's not www.anything. All it is jeffersondeclaration.net. So Jefferson, like Thomas Jefferson, declaration.net. You can go in there, and it has all the information. It has the action plan, the declaration, some facts, grievances, and then it has the support statement and a Join Us section as well.
That is absolutely outstanding. I'm actually on the website right now.
Okay.
Now, we all know for a fact that the state would never let this happen.
Correct.
They would have them tied up in court.
Well, the Constitution allows for this to happen, right? If a new state is formed from the territory of one state or a combination of two states, that shall have the consent of the legislature of all involved states, and I'm paraphrasing here, as well as the U.S. Congress.
Sadly, no, it's probably word for word. You just think you're paraphrasing. But go on.
So that's the process that would have to happen. The county basically initiated it. Now the state legislature would have to vote on whether they're going to allow this to happen. And if they do, I don't think so either. If for no other reason than to say, screw you.
I wonder if there is a process where if the state legislature denies it, that there's got to be something. I'm almost guessing if they're going to go this far, they have a plan B.
Well, here let me ask you this first of all, because we talk about Constitution and sticking to the Constitution, correct?
Yes.
Obviously, I think this is outstanding.
I think
this
amazing.
is a county. This is a local government standing up for itself, and basically calling big government out. So, what would you say if the county, if the state legislature denied it, right, pursuant to the Constitution, they hold the vote, they deny it, and the county now sues? Would you support that?
The emotional part of me says yes.
But?
Realistic part of me says no. You stick
And why
with
not?
the process. You stick with what's outlined in the Constitution for a reason.
Yeah, and that would be rough.
But it would be so great.
It would be.
Because sadly, California needs this to happen to them. I really believe that. They need less power than what they have. Because for those people who don't know, California is absolutely liberally insane in the 4 major cities.
Right.
Where the biggest focus of population is versus the actual population of the state. You get outside those 4 major cities, it's a more conservative area. Not completely conservative. You still have a couple tucked in here and there. But California, because of the amount of insane liberals that run the state.
No, and yeah, not just liberals, but insane liberals.
Almost certifiably, I'm sure.
Almost. I mean, they certainly are. What is it? We looked it up one time. What is it? A danger to themselves or others?
Yeah.
They are definitely a danger to others. So I'm thinking maybe this fits.
It is.
Could somebody call like the state police or something to go arrest them all for being a danger to themselves or others?
Oh, we're really sorry. Put the gavel and the pen down. You're going to hurt yourself making all these ridiculous laws.
I asked a question.
I know.
Lars.
Lars. Lars.
Right.
Why? What's the problem with that?
Nothing at all, Boston.
Tomato.
I actually met another person from Boston this week.
I know, your day couldn't have got any better.
And I understood every word he said.
Did you translate for the others?
I did, and he kind of looked at me like, how is it you're understanding me? Do you have like a box in your head that you had implanted that you're able to like talk other languages, or?
You're like, no, I just once a week I hang out with this idiot from Boston, and after a while, it's like how the members of the what was the band of the Muppets, the Electric something? You know how they could understand animal, but nobody else could?
Right.
It's kind of like that,
Gosh, could you imagine if we hung out with a liberal?
No.
Would we begin to understand what they're thinking?
You mean, would we be indoctrinated? I'm sure after that. No. And I'll tell you why. They wouldn't hang out with us unless
we were giving free beer and heroin.
Unless we were giving free stuff away, they probably wouldn't.
Like
hang out
marijuana.
No, if they were willing to engage in an actual intelligent conversation, they had a point of view, whether we agreed or they didn't, and they could present it in an intelligent manner and maybe have counterpoints or whatever. But how often do we run across that?
Not very often.
Usually it's point, counterpoint, point, middle finger, walk away.
Yeah, but you usually don't give the middle finger that quick.
I'm working on it. That's because
you're talking about conversations between us, right? Between you and I?
Right, before the liberal gets here.
Right. Because they don't even get involved in the conversation. They like come up, look at both of us, and then walk away. And it's usually 2 middle fingers, one for each of us.
And they're like, oh, good. You guys are both insane. That's fantastic. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that California has one county that has the audacity and the brains.
Of hope.
No.
No?
Remember, that's a term we couldn't use? We talked about that. That's a not allowed term.
No, I didn't know if that's where you were going with it.
I believe it's on the naughty list. Once. Oh, no, I'm sure a lot of counties in California have the book The Audacity of Hope. I'm sure it's millions in Sacramento and copies just all over the place. But overall, no.
And all at the state capitol building in Sacramento.
They've actually replaced all the actual history books and Constitution and whatnot with just repeated copies of The Audacity of Hope.
I think instead of the Constitution, they have the Communist Manifesto. Because otherwise they talk about, right, you have the right to health care, and you have the right to a house, and you have the right to work, and you have the right to, I don't know, not get a prostitute, because that's still illegal, apparently.
Not in Sweden. Did you hear what they've done in Sweden?
We're talking California.
I know, but you brought this up, and I think it's funny that you brought it up about prostitution. In Sweden, they've started these drive-in prostitution boxes to get them off the streets. So it's almost like a garage that you rent for 2, 3, 4 minutes maybe.
On a long night, right? Like on a good night. Like if you've already had one once earlier, right?
Right.
Okay. Does that like include cuddle time? I mean, what are we talking about here?
I think it's nap and crying both included.
Okay.
And I just thought that was the...
And negotiations and... So what is it, like just a garage door you pull up?
So, Mr. President, you're over there. Just let us know how it's working out. Because he's in Sweden right now, so...
That's inappropriate.
What?
How dare you accuse the president?
He could just ask their president.
Joe Biden, I would believe.
Joe...
Right. I dare Joe Biden to go. I dare Joe
them.
Biden to go to one of those box-in-a-boxes or whatever the hell they're called, and then report back to how it was to our show.
Joe would be the reason that they would stop using them. He would do something. I can't even articulate what, but like all of a sudden just be out of order, and then you'd see a big sign that says Biden was here in black spray paint, and you just hear the cackling walking away.
With his wrinkled ass cheeks just kind of going down the street.
Well, that's good. I'm going to vomit on tonight's show now. Thank you very, very, very much.
I'm there for you.
Hey, speaking of crazy people from California.
Yeah? What'd Feinstein do now?
Frankenstein, first of all.
Frankenstein, I apologize.
We decided long ago on the show
we
would only call her Frankenstein.
We did. We have Pistol Grip Pelosi and
Diane
Frankenstein. Yes.
So let's keep things straight, all right?
I apologize.
I don't want anyone getting her confused.
Listen, this is California. We don't keep anything straight.
I don't want anyone getting confused.
You can't even say straight in the state of California
forward.
Because...
I think you have to say forward. Sorry. Keep things forward. Oh, no, wait, because that's an Obama term. Damn. Well, I don't know what the hell we're going to do.
Keep things
sorted.
Keep things asexual
things
and
sorted.
on track. How's that?
Okay.
What?
Do you sit at home at night and it doesn't matter. So Feinstein says to immigration, stop targeting farm workers who are here illegally.
Well, yeah. Why would listen?
Well,
why would you want your immigration enforcing immigration? Oh, I see where you're going with this now.
Right. See, you see where the problem is there? We're going to spend all that money for them not to do anything. So the long and short of it is she wrote a letter saying it'll cripple our agriculture sector if we start removing all these illegal farm workers.
Is that because that we would have
Never
jobs
mind
available?
what a burden it would be for our criminal justice system to actually have to do stuff with them, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, if they're taking jobs, then that means there's jobs available, right?
You would think.
I know there are unemployed people in California because that's a huge entitlement there. And so why couldn't we just hire those people?
Well, initially...
because they said they didn't want to do that kind of work. That's right.
Right. Right. Well, initially I was aggravated by this, and then I thought about it a little bit more. And I said, well, the president already told ICE to stop doing this, 2 years ago? Just before the election? When he was trying to drum up votes?
Right.
So...
How would he try drumming up votes because they're not supposed to vote anyways, right?
That's how I know you don't understand our voting system.
Criminal aliens.
Right.
They're not illegal aliens. Listen, we talked about this.
Right. This is how I know you don't know the voting system in this country, though, is just because they're criminal aliens doesn't mean they don't vote. They just borrow somebody else's name. Doy.
Yeah, but that's illegal. They wouldn't do that.
No.
Oh, hence the term criminal alien.
Thank you.
Because
Are you
they
following
already
now?
violate laws. Yes.
Oh, God, sometimes it's like working with myself.
Which you do quite often.
That's because nobody wants to be around me.
Usually it's with some tissue and Lubriderm, but... Wait, I'm sorry, what are we talking about?
What?
I'm so lost right now.
No, you're not. You're just a little confused, and that's fine.
No, you're a little confused. Never mind.
Listen, I understand her narrative. I don't agree with it. I understand it's their voting base.
It shouldn't be their voting base, though.
But it is.
They're illegal.
It is. Even because once they get legalized, they know they're going to vote Democrat.
Right. Because the Democrats historically have been huge on civil rights issues. I mean, look what they did for Martin Luther King. Look what they did for...
Hey, LBJ had a great comment on getting people to vote Democrat.
Right. Woodrow Wilson, he was awesome.
Why would she go Listen, if they want, they do their little scams, and we all know that they do these certain things, and they pass these certain laws and executive orders or whatever. Why would she go public and... Really?
Because it's California. There's a very large...
Nobody's going to call her out on it.
There's a very large Hispanic population, and I think we're to the time now where children of criminal aliens that have been here for a while, they're grown up, they're of voting age now, and so they think about their poor parents who've done nothing wrong, and they don't see the wrong in violating a sovereign nation's immigration laws, and so they're going to vote for that narrative. That's what I think it is, because they're now anchor babies, right? That are old enough to start voting.
Right.
So...
Well, I have this theory. Before she starts really getting in on this, I think she should illegally immigrate to Mexico for a short period of time.
Right.
Work on the farms down there. So she understands what these folks are going through.
Right.
She can get herself in the mindset of the criminal alien and then come back and report to us. I think that would work out great.
I think that's a phenomenal idea.
It's a pretty good plan, right?
Or I think she should just work the fields for, say,
like
2 years.
She's going to work. She's a politician, for God's sakes. When was the last time they worked?
Just throwing it out there, right? Think about it. Think of the experience she could gain.
She would. Can you just picture? I just picture
she should
her
stand
fat,
out like in
dumb
front of
head.
home. She should like stand out in front of Home Depot, like waiting for a day job, right? Like a day laborer. Could you picture her out there?
I just picture her fat, dumb head. Just it's so hot.
Right.
Why are these tomatoes so deep in the ground? I don't want to do this
They grow
anymore.
on vines. What are you talking about? She pours her Jabba the Hutt shaped body into like jeans and some boots.
What was the movie about the worms in like the early 90s with the sand?
Return of the Jedi?
No, the sandworms.
Holes?
Yes. It would kind of be like holes with her just kind of burrowing through the ground trying to get to other. Well, there goes our obese women that would listen to the show. They're like, those jerks. Look at her. It's possible.
We have 3 listeners, and 1 just went away. Thank you for that.
You said it first.
I said what?
You said Jabba the Hutt.
You said fat head.
I said fat head. You're very right. Thank you for pointing that out.
But you drew the picture, and it has jowls. Seriously, it looks like a bull mastiff, but fatter.
That
picture
me.
you drew.
That was me. I was doing a self-portrait, you
That
fool.
was not you. Your tits do not sag to your big toes like that. I know who you were drawing because we were talking about her.
Oh, I guess I will have to mark this explicit tonight. Awesome. We're almost going to get a broader base eventually. One of the comments I got on the show is, can't you guys go 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, without saying something vulgar? And I said, hey, I listened 2 weeks ago. We went 12 and a half minutes.
Exactly. Listen, if you're going to start calling us out on things, why don't you get your facts straight, okay? Maybe you should have said, can't you go 13 minutes, right?
To which I would have responded, there's no way in hell that would ever happen on this show.
Tonight we went 20-something.
27.
We did pretty well.
You nailed it.
That's what I'm thinking.
And then you absolutely had to put it in the gutter.
We understand our audience base. We don't have. Okay, maybe we don't. I'm pretty sure all of them were at Comic-Con last week.
Yeah, all the conservatives that go to Comic-Con.
Right. We don't have.
We should do Historicon.
Historicon?
Where you dress up like your favorite historical figure.
I'd be Ron Jeremy.
Really? You mean the classically trained actor?
Yeah, I mean, who else would I mean? You're beat red right now.
Because you put it out so quickly, you didn't have to think about it. It says to me that you've thought about that before.
What, my favorite person in American history?
Ron Jeremy. Really? Yeah, love the guy. He made a lot of difference in film and filmography. He's really come a long way.
Nobody saw him coming. Snuck right in the back door. It was weird.
And 14 plus in the show description. Okay, we'll keep going.
Here's our target audience, and I've recognized this, and so have you. And it's the same reason why all the libertarians keep coming to us. So we don't have old school conservatives. We don't. Newt Gingrich is not going to listen to this show.
Nor is he ever going to come on it.
Nor is he ever going to come on this show. Neither will Ron Jeremy. But he might. We have younger conservatives, usually younger right-leaning libertarians, who listen to us and actually enjoy a little bit of this potty humor. That's who our audience is.
And people that have a generally good sense of humor.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, if you're just some crusty, old
white
guy. See, I'm going to use an Obama term. And with no sense of humor, we don't want you either.
Well,
see, we share something in common with Obama, and that's it.
Well, we talked about this before, and I explained to somebody, I said, hey, listen, this is the movement you're seeing now with the libertarians, and this is the new conservative party. This is what it's going to be in the next couple of years.
How scary is that?
People that get away from the old Republican regime of just same old, fighting the same battles, losing the same battles, never changing their battle strategy, if you will, when it comes to elections and stuff, to the younger, where it's like, hey, you know what? There are certain things that if the government doesn't need to be involved, and it doesn't matter what it is, they shouldn't be involved. It's when they are involved that the bigger issue shows up, and that's the one we're going to call out. And I think those are the people that we get, is the ones who are worried what the government does get their hands in versus what they don't.
And it's because we talk about, a lot of times, how does it affect you?
Yeah.
Right? A lot of these ideas are abstract, and people don't care because, well, it doesn't really affect me, right?
It always does.
Well,
as soon as the government makes a decision, it affects you one way or another, whether you
absolutely.
realize it or not.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, even when we talked about that behavioral panel that the government was forming, right?
Oh, by the way, the capital of California, while we're on the topic, is passing a bill to increase the percentage of low-income housing that you must have when you build housing. So if you are a business or a builder, if you will, and you're going to build 100 homes,
right.
I believe it's going from 15% to 20 or 25. So for every 75 homes you build, 25 of that has to be allotted for
every 100 homes you build.
I'm sorry, every 100 homes you build. 75 out of it, yes.
Well, that makes perfect sense, right?
It's following along that behavioral study and
I mean, why would you want to build a nice development purely for upper income earners and put a lot of your personal
or
capital
middle class
out,
for that matter?
Right. Well, let's just say upper end. Let's say 1%ers, right? Why would you want to put out a large portion of your capital to build these homes in order for a bigger return on your investment if you could do that? Why would you want to do that? Exactly. I'd build some homes, and then I'd throw up like a cheap apartment building or something that, right, with poor resources and right, a lean-to. That's a great idea, California, because I'd make it with the worst materials I could find. Right, because, hey, I want to make money. This is what I have to do.
It's also California with insane building laws, so you would have to, and you know how it would be.
Yeah, that's true, because new homes are so well made.
I know. It's so money well spent as far as they're concerned. But you know as well as I do, they'd say, oh, it's in this neighborhood, so you have to have this sort of exterior with this kind of interior, because a lot of these cities now absolutely legislate everything you can put into a house now when you build.
I want to move to Siskiyou County.
I would if I really thought that the state legislature would do something with that, but you and I both know the truth on that.
We need to see if we can get somebody from that county board of supervisors.
I'll work on it this week. See if they'll come on next week. So I think that's huge. I think that's a big story, and it's really a pulse on what's going on with more conservative areas of this country feeling left out by the states that they live in. So I think it's pretty enormous. Hey, we're going to take a break. We're going to be back in 3 minutes with the Sackheads Radio Show.
Hello, I'm Lori, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Dr. Larry Arnn on how the founders viewed God as the source of our equality and legal rights.
America's founders knew, obviously, that human beings are not equal in terms of strength or beauty, or in terms of intelligence, industry, or talents. They understood that because of such differences in talents and things like that, some people would be wealthier than others. But human beings are equal, the founders believe, in their possession of natural rights, such as the rights to life, liberty, and property. Today, many Americans reject this equality of rights in order to pursue equality of condition through redistribution, or spreading the wealth around, to use a famous formulation. This is destructive of liberty as the founders understood it.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. ConservativeOutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on ConservativeOutcry.net.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school boards, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PolitigalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PolitigalNetwork.com or Twitter at PolitigalUSA.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
So we forgot something very important when we first got on the show.
We did?
We have our first in-studio guest tonight.
Well,
and
you said important. I was thinking big deal. So
listen, I was going to say amazing, but she's already got a huge ego if you've read any of her articles. So now she's been absent for a little while.
For some time. And we filed a complaint.
We filed a complaint,
with
and now
she
finally decided to fly out.
Writers Guild, Writers Union, whatever.
Grace us with her presence.
I called and yelled at somebody one day and said, where the hell are my articles?
And that was after you wrote letters of noncompliance for her contract, I believe.
Yeah.
So Sackhead Michaela.
So there's some guy in Ohio that's just getting random letters from me that's aggravated.
Right, because we have no idea even how to find her. It's, I think you even put like a pair of your underwear in one of them, which was a little weird.
Well,
right?
It's selling huge in Japan right now.
It kind of is, but there was a skitty. I mean, let's be honest. Right? I mean,
not as young as I once was.
I can't reach. I mean, seriously, you're that big with T-Rex arms. I mean, it makes it
awful. But I have huge hands. It's the weirdest thing.
They start at your elbows, it looks like. I don't get
I'm like
it.
something out of a Pixar movie.
Yeah. So Sackhead Michaela
is in
studio, and come say hi to the people.
Oh, hello.
See, so she does exist.
She's a natural, folks.
Yeah, she's a natural. This is why she sticks to writing, because her on-air personality sucks. So.
Hence my multiple awards in speech and debate.
Oh, now she's bragging. Yeah, but here's the problem. You write your speeches first, and then you debate what's written. Listen, this is my story right now, my microphone. Scoot your chair back over there. Taking my microphone and going home. So when can we expect another article from you?
Bigger fish to fry. Kind of a big deal.
Bigger fish to fry because she's in nursing school.
I know, right?
Seriously.
Imagine
right? Saving what lives are you saving?
Oh boy.
Old people that need their bedpans changed.
So you.
So
essentially.
No, you, Sean. You can reach.
Thank God.
Save the bed sores. Just saying.
I feel so much better about the night now. I should just leave.
like a bunch of
like
our
everyone in
guests
that
just all
chat
of a
room
sudden
just
started
did.
logging out. So your hometown.
Oh yeah, we went from yours to mine. So the wonderful lunatics in the state of Massachusetts, liberals, have decided they
Which is weird.
Why is it weird?
Because that's where our nation was born.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the whole not concept
it's almost
of liberty.
like
That's where the whole movement started.
I call it revolutionary guilt for some
Right,
reason.
the Green Dragon Tavern.
It's revolutionary guilt for whatever
Faneuil
reason.
Hall, or however the hell you pronounce it. It's French, so I don't care if I pronounce it right.
Faneuil.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I don't.
Right.
It's Faneuil. What's the problem with that? Have you read some of where you're from?
Hawaii?
Yeah. Have you read some of the cities and towns?
In Hawaii?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all vowels.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even say half of them.
It used to be its own nation.
It's a lovely place. But couldn't just have a name
Massachusetts
like...
was never its own nation.
I think Hawaii should
comparing
change a lot of
apples
names
and...
to like Beachtown. Beachtown 2. Beachtown
Beachtown
3. So idiots like me don't sound like a moron when I go there and say, excuse me, where's Oahu?
Here's the problem. They don't want you to find the beach
I don't know.
because you will turn beet red in a matter of 30.2 seconds.
Well, that and when Greenpeace shows up, it ruins everyone's fun.
You look like a roasted marshmallow. I even saw you burst into flames once.
Have you ever seen a manatee that accidentally ends up out of water? It's just like white with its little flippers flapping.
That's you.
So the words under God are again under fire in the wonderful state of Massachusetts.
I like how you did that, by the way.
It's called a lead-in, dude.
That was very nice.
I practiced my craft.
That was practically professional.
I said it in the mirror 30 times before you showed up today.
I could tell.
Some idiot named, see how good I am at it?
You just rolled right off your
attorney,
tongue.
not idiot. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Same thing. David Neos.
Wasn't he in The Matrix?
No, that's Neo.
What'd you just say?
Neos.
So plural?
He's a moron.
Okay.
Yeah, there's more than one neon. That's Neo. That's what I'm going for here.
Okay.
Drink your coffee. An attorney represented a family in the American Humanist Association. Do we really need an association for our own preservation? I mean, really. It's not exactly like there's a mass conspiracy trying to kill off the human race.
How do you know?
Because I know. I know things.
Have you not seen Signs?
You're right.
The Fog? Shall I go on?
Independence Day?
Cowboys and Aliens?
iRobot. Oh,
nice
you got
work.
me there.
Look at the big brain on Michaela. Go right on.
Send her in the other room, would you? It's our show. Essentially saying that it's upsetting to non-believers to have the words under God put in. And I just can't for the life of me figure out why we once again, and we do this in the country all the time, the small percentage will be curtailed to over the majority.
Because, listen, we have to be tolerant of their views, but they don't have to be tolerant of ours.
It's a good point. That's a good point.
That's what it comes down to. There was I read a story, and I wish I would have remembered where it's from. There was a bake shop, a local bake shop that was owned by a Christian couple that was forced to close down because they refused to bake a wedding cake for a same-sex couple. Because they said, hey, you know what, our religion, nothing against you personally, our religion does not allow us to participate in ceremonies because we don't believe that is a union under God, and we cannot bake a cake for your event because we cannot, so we're sorry, right? Private business.
Right. And I said
Refusing
this before.
whatever. They got sued over it,
which is
and
ridiculous.
then they had to close their doors because everybody in the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, whatever community started contacting all these other businesses saying, hey, we're not doing business with you if you keep doing business with them. They finally just shut their doors.
Well, one of the things that bothers me is, and I can understand, listen, if somebody does something that you don't agree with and they own a private business, then you just don't shop there. But if I was that, and I hope that couple is going to retaliate against those groups by maybe slander. It's very slanderous. You don't know exactly what was said. All he said is, hey, don't go there because we're not going to go there. But the simple fact of the matter is instead of just being upset, and we do this in this country all the time, hey, I'm upset with that one thing, so I'm going to destroy that person's entire life because they made me mad. There's no respect for other people's beliefs at all in this country.
Well, I found it.
From our left to right point of view.
It was Sweet Cakes by Melissa, and it was in Gresham, Oregon, was the town. And again, family bakery. They refused to make a wedding cake for a gay couple, and they were badgered by the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community. The owners said that they received death threats. So here's what the commissioner of the town said. This is a government official.
Naturally.
He says, quote, everybody is entitled to their own beliefs.
Okay. So he's defending the couple.
But that doesn't mean that folks have a right to discriminate.
Have you ever walked into a business and seen a sign that says we have the right to refuse service?
It gets better. The goal is to rehabilitate. For those who do violate the law, we want them to learn from that experience. So the goal is to rehabilitate. For those who do violate the law, we want them to learn from that experience. You must respond to Stalag 3 for rehabilitation. That is right. We hope you learn from your experience. Welcome back to society. We hope you have a successful business in Oregon.
It is.
That's what an elected official says.
Beyond sickening. And listen, we say on the show, what people do behind their own closed doors of their business, not ours at all.
Yeah.
To expect every person on the face of the planet. And once somebody says, hey, it's part of my religion, look at all the other things that we've accepted as part of people's religions in this country. I mean, gosh forbid you say something against the Muslim community. Or the, not even the community, but the Muslim extremists. There was a thing in Seattle where they demanded they took that bus sign down because the guy that was actually wanted by the FBI...
Identified terrorist.
It
was a wanted poster.
Looked and is Muslim. And that was an outrage. So here's the standard in this country. The guy that's an actual terrorist that has killed people gets defended by these friggin' leftist lunatics. And the couple who just says, no, I'm sorry, I can't bake that cake. It goes against my religion, gets run out of town like some sort of murderous perverts. Think about how the standard in this country has gone so freaking insane.
I have, and this is why we have a show.
Oh, that's a good point. I remember we had that conversation when we started.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
So why are you lecturing me right now on this? But to get back,
I'm pissed.
To get back to the flag thing. Look, I think it goes to that revisionist history, because through judicial activism, which is, let's face it, if a judge rules on this, a lower court has already ruled that, hey, this doesn't discriminate against anybody.
Right. In which this guy...
Our country, whether you agree with it or not, whether you are religious or not, whether you believe in God, Buddha, Muhammad, a tree, whatever it is that you believe in, what our country was founded on and the basic principles that we were founded on is natural law. Rights that we have that are given to us simply because we exist. Rights that were granted to us by nature or nature's God. I'm starting to quote here a little bit. So if you don't believe in God or that there's something even bigger than you, nature, if that's what you want to call it, for lack of a better term, then any right that you think you have must have been given to you by somebody, which means that it can be taken away.
Exactly.
But if those rights are given to you by God or by nature simply because we exist as human beings, nobody can take those rights away. And that's where we are. So they don't want to believe in God. They don't want to say under God. However, our country...
they don't have to.
They don't have to. Nobody's telling you have to believe, but our country was founded upon Judeo-Christian beliefs, and I know there are people that are going to disagree with me, but there were people, this country was founded on those beliefs, and it's even talked about. God is mentioned in several different variations in reference to him directly in the Declaration of Independence. You know, the breakup letter that Jefferson wrote to the English, to King George III, right? And what's funny is Jefferson's letters are what's used to say, separation of church and state. That's not what he meant. So why does anybody? You can't force anybody to say the pledge.
Well,
right?
And the lawyer for the Acton Boxborough Regional School District said, hey, the pledge is not mandatory and students can opt out either by leaving out the reference under God or not reciting the pledge. I think you should have to recite the pledge, but that's just me.
Okay, but
if you want to omit the under God because of your religious or non-religious beliefs, that's up to you. I am one of those people that I still say it, even if it's silent. I still say it every single day. I was raised to say it every single day.
Right.
Because of how amazing our country is and what went into the development of it, I think it's just completely insane to argue that this is injecting God into schools.
You know what I'm waiting for? I'm waiting for somebody to argue the term creator in the Declaration of Independence to mean the founders. Because then you could say that all laws are given to us by man.
Well,
right? Because think of it, we are endowed by our creator with certain unalienable rights. Well, clearly this meant the founders because they created this nation. And so they, the government, gave us our rights. What do you think of that argument?
I think you just gave somebody a softball because there's going to be some idiot judge somewhere that'll absolutely entertain that on a lower level, and it's going to end up 5 years it'll be in the Supreme Court.
Listen, and we know how many people higher up listen to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm sure this is going to be right now. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is writing this down. That's a good one. I'm going to use that. Clearly, they don't mean under God. I knew it. This is a way to take it out of there forever.
Listen, unfortunately, it is Massachusetts, folks, and back in 2010 when this came up the last time, it was overruled. A judge by the name of S. Jane Haggerty found that the words under God in the pledge did not violate state law or the school's anti-discrimination policy. She said that under God is a voluntary patriotic exercise, does not convert the exercise into a prayer. A family appealed the ruling naturally. I know this was not part of the original pledge. It was added in 1942.
Right.
It was added for a reason. It was passed by Congress and signed in, or adopted by Congress and signed in. The simple fact of the matter is the pledge stands for so much more than just those two words. And the simple fact that, once again, a very small percentage of the country doesn't like two words. And eventually, if this does get upheld and appealed all the way up to the Supreme Court, you know other states are going to do it. I'm shocked California isn't right there with them trying to help out. But the small percentage that it does affect, it's the 1% that the transgender bathroom in California that we talked about.
Right.
Affects such a small percentage of people. But now
and that's not just one bathroom. I mean, that made it sound like it was one bathroom in the state that transgender people could use, right? Like that transgender bathroom in California.
You know where that one is?
Right. I do. It's weird. I go right to it.
It's right over there by the car dealership. You know, the one near the 7-Eleven? You know where it is. Come on. But I'm glad that in 2010, and I hope that the same logic is applied to this case in 3 years later. And my question is going to be, how many times can you bring the same argument repeatedly in a frivolous lawsuit before at least a judge turns around and goes, you know what, this isn't even going past the motion. It's already been decided on back in 2010, blah, 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 blah. But it's going again and again and again and again and again. And it's the leftist agenda is if you don't like it the first time I say it, then I'm going to say it a little bit different the second time. Then I'm going to say it the third time a little bit different. Then we're bombing Syria. I mean, that's pretty much the natural progression of things.
Right. Do you think George Washington knew anything about like the Constitution or knew anything about like the foundations of our country?
No, he wasn't paying attention.
Probably not, right?
He was asleep in his tent, and they woke him up. They're like, hey, we got this war. And he's like, cool, I'm in because I like to do it. And then hopefully afterwards, I want to be president for 10, 12 terms.
Right.
Hold on, I'm checking my notes.
Yeah,
I am way off.
Yeah, you are, because he voluntarily left after 2 terms. And
he didn't want to do it to begin with.
He didn't want to do it to begin with, but he was asked to serve his country. But he actually added the words, so help me God, after he was sworn in as president. So why would he do that if there really is not supposed
because
to be
he knew
God?
250 some odd years later, the liberals would have such a hold in this country. He said that he probably figured that's the only way we would get help is, oh, God, please help us. Because we're screwing ourselves left and right. We need some sort of divine intervention before the whole damn thing goes to hell.
Oh, wait, divine intervention. I can't say that because I'm the president now. Did George Washington ever pray at the White House?
I would gather.
Really? The White House wasn't even built till John Adams. Nice try.
So you're going to go that way with it. I see. Throw one at me in the middle of the show and screw it up and then exploit it. Good job, liberal. That was the best liberal. Who'd you read that? Like
Alan
Were
Combs.
you reading Bernays or
No, Combs?
Combs? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Cass Sunstein.
No, he would have nudged me into it slowly.
Yeah, he would have.
He would have just thrown that into my face like that. We would have got there eventually, but he would have built me up with a series of questions. You see? You see what I have to deal with every single week? I mean, it's not even... He doesn't even do it just because he's trying to prove a point. He just does it because it's stupid.
Or just to make you look that way sometimes, right?
Very easy to do. You're really going to beat up on the dumb kid? Wow, you're a tough guy.
Listen, I'm anti.
Good job, bully.
I'm anti-bullying laws is basically what I was going to say, and this is why. Because this show would be really dull.
I'm anti-bullying laws. Because as we talked about before, I'm sure Massachusetts, actually I know for a fact Massachusetts has a ridiculous amount of anti-bullying laws, but I think bullying's part of growing up. I was bullied growing up, and it made me find strength in certain parts of me that I never thought would exist, because I had to stand up for myself. Nobody else would do it, and fight back against certain people. I know other people, and it's that sort of confidence. And listen, I'm not talking about take the kid out into the field and beat him with a stick bullying. That's obviously...
Right, that's discipline. There's difference.
There's already laws about that called like assault with a dangerous weapon or something like that. I just mean when somebody's like, oh, hey, stupid shirt, aha, I'm going to pant you, which was awesome when you weren't wearing any drawers.
And it was cold outside.
Or
it was hot and it just seemed like
30,
it was cold. Right.
But either way, it teaches you to stand up for yourself a little bit, which maybe if that happened, the government wouldn't be speaking for so many damn people in this country and saying that it's the will of the people. Just saying, I might be onto something.
I don't even know what to say to that. Right now, I was bullied by my big brother.
Well, he's a jerk, though. I've met him.
This is true. And there's one.
Remember you had to say, you're like, this is my brother. I was like, the porcupine?
Right.
Or is he behind the porcupine? That's my brother right there, the porcupine. I was like, oh.
Right. And
we'll have to exchange razor recipes.
And to give you an idea, have you ever seen Weird Science?
Yes, one of my favorites.
It was kind of like living with Chet. That's all I'm saying.
But he's a good man. When he's far away. Well, listen, we have a lot to cover in Syria, so why don't we cut into the break a couple minutes early, because I want to do as much together at the same time with Syria as we can.
You want to do as much together, like holding hands or
walking in the park? I like walks on the beaches. You never take me out anywhere anymore.
You don't?
We'll settle this at the break. We'll be back in 3.
Don't sing me love songs.
You don't bring me flowers.
Hello, I'm Lori, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Dr. Larry Arnn on how the founders viewed God as the source of our equality and legal rights.
America's founders knew, obviously, that human beings are not equal in terms of strength or beauty, or in terms of intelligence, industry, or talents. They understood that because of such differences in talents and things like that, some people will be wealthier than others. But human beings are equal, the founders believe, in their possession of natural rights, such as the rights to life, liberty, and property. Today, many Americans reject this equality of rights in order to pursue equality of condition through redistribution, or spreading the wealth around, to use a famous formulation. This is destructive of liberty as the founders understood it.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
How you doing? John Grant here. when I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school board, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PoliticalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PoliticalNetwork.com or Twitter at PoliticalUSA.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
So we're back, and we actually have a lot to get to this second half of tonight's show. We've had some good information in the first part, kind of interesting, some of the topics we've had, but I want to get into Syria. I don't want to get into Syria.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to avoid.
Then that would be like boots on the ground, and I mean, I guess technically, would journalists be a boot on the ground?
No.
Unless I was in fact wearing boots.
If they're MSNBC or CNN, they could be a boob on the ground.
Boob on the ground.
Boob on the ground.
We don't want them there first because then they'd like draw a map of like where the. Oh, that was Geraldo.
Remember when that moron did that?
Yeah, you know, and no reputable news agency would hire him. Oh wait, he's working for Fox now.
It's almost like with Combs, they're like, all right, we have to have 1 or 2 liberals on, so, you know, just to make it a little bit more balanced. With him, they're like, all right, we have to have an idiot on.
Right.
Just
right.
Make it a little more balanced because we don't have enough idiots. That was the most ridiculous thing. So
the Senate panel had a vote, and McCain was completely with Obama. I think they were like holding their hands, taking long walks in the parks, taking baths together.
As a matter of fact, you want to hear exactly what John had to say about it after his meeting with the good president?
Initially, you mean?
This was a couple days ago when he and Lindsey
So when he
Graham,
was still
thumbs up
with Obama.
We emphasized to the president that now it's been over a year since the president said it would be a game changer if chemical weapons were used. It's been 2 years since the president said Bashar Assad must leave, and we emphasized the importance we place to actions that would degrade Bashar Assad's capabilities, upgrade the opposition, and to see change the momentum on the ground in order that the Free Syrian Army can prevail over time. That does not mean that any of us support having American boots on the ground.
He always follows up with that for some strange reason.
It's weird because I don't know if it's like a cuckoo clock or I think he just does that now.
So 48 hours ago or so, Senator McCain, hey, let's go. We're ready to go.
Yeah, we got to be a game changer on the ground, but we don't want boots on the ground.
Absolutely. We got to do something to take Assad out. The president said it himself. So
did you notice that, though? He said we need to be a game changer on the ground.
Yes.
But we don't want
boots on the ground. But we need to.
No. You make changes on the ground. It's semantics.
Oh, you make changes. So, like, you launch a bomb that changes the landscape physically.
Totally different.
Okay.
So now you understand. You caught up.
Got it.
It'll
Thank
totally
you. I'm sorry.
change.
Sometimes I'm a little slow.
So he came out today, and I think it was after spending a few hours playing poker yesterday during the 3-hour hearing.
He's an elected official. He takes his job seriously. I doubt very seriously that he would be playing a game of online poker while he's in chambers on his phone.
For a few hours. It doesn't matter.
Hours.
He did it.
He probably lost because
he's under a lot of stress.
Well, yeah.
He gets up at 4 in the morning. maybe 3, like most people his age do.
Does he get disability for that sickness of being a gambleaholic? Ooh.
And the arthritis from all the gambling and the thumb.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah. He's going to, let's watch for that. Let's watch for that. So he came out today and said, well, I don't know if I'm totally for the whole Syria idea. I just want to make sure the narrative is strictly in there that there was no boots on the ground.
How do you do that? How do you say Syria idea? I couldn't do that if I was purposely trying.
I caught that.
And yet, how do you Syria idea? I apologize. I don't know if that's like a drive shaft or a Prius or what.
I feel like I'm being harassed in the workplace. So less than 48 hours later, and I think that the point that you made about him being caught with the changing the ground game but no boots on the ground, I think the words the ground game came back to bite him, and people started pushing, hey, if you want to change the ground, that means we have to put troops there. Yep. And now he said, oh, wait a minute, that's not exactly what I meant. What I meant is back when I owned my first car, which is a 1932 Ford Model T, I didn't want to do it, and I'm still not. He is the biggest epitome of flip-flopping any way the wind blows as long as I'm popular politician out there. Boob. I think boob's an excellent way to put it.
Thank you.
So that was
booby.
That was
wrinkly, saggy booby.
That's pretty much all he is at this point.
Thank you.
So that was his whole, idiocy. It's the only way I can really put it at this point. And then his good friend Lindsey Graham, who is another just really hard-nosed conservative who absolutely never flip-flops on anything. Stop me if you've heard this before.
Stop. Nothing. He's not saying anything. See that? That's Lindsey Graham right there. That speech epitomizes everything. He talks, but he does not say anything. That was a great clip.
That's pretty much all he said, but he followed it up.
But it is my hope that even a limited military strike can degrade Assad's ability to project force, particularly using chemical weapons. But there seems to be emerging from this administration a pretty solid plan to upgrade the opposition, to get the regional players more involved. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Jordan, a lot of the Gulf Arab states have been helping quietly. Now's the time to get out front and be more overt.
Oh, good. So he just outed all those states who have been helping.
Covertly. Right. And they're like, right now, they're like, hey, thanks for that. So Iran has enough nukes to reach one for each of us.
So that's just the lesser conservative side of the GOP talking after their meeting. But surely the man that
they're progressive.
The speaker cannot be so quickly.
Speaker of the House or
speaker?
Boner.
Yeah. He's not so quick to support this.
The United States, for our entire history, has stood up for democracy and freedom for people around the world. The use of these weapons has to be responded to, and only the United States has the capability and the capacity to stop Assad and to warn others around the world that this type of behavior is not going to be tolerated. This is something that the United States as a country needs to do. I'm going to support the President's call for action. I believe that my colleagues should support this call for action.
This Obama?
Right?
Listen to the inflection.
I know. His speech cadence is very much like the President's right now. It's very bizarre. Okay, so I named that clip, appropriately named that clip, Obama Gets a Boner.
Obama gets boner.
Boner's right behind him on this one. But
don't bend over. Don't stop suddenly.
That was
boner will bump right into your back end.
Out and said before I even thought about that. That's the best part about that. But fortunately, Boehner is in solid, trustable. Boehner is in company that absolutely is totally saying, nope, here's Nancy Pelosi, who spoke with Boehner.
No.
From a humanitarian standpoint, cannot be ignored, or else we cannot say never again. Secondly, from a national security standpoint, we have to send a very clear message to those who have weapons of mass destruction of any variety that should forget about using them.
She followed it up with this. She and McCain may have been around a little bit too long, and I think they're starting to lose it a little bit more and more.
I have to agree with Pistol Grip on one thing.
What's that?
The humanitarian mission cannot be ignored.
As
right?
we've talked about.
And I'm paraphrasing, and that's what we said. That's what we said
like she
1 or 2 weeks ago. It's like she's a sackhead.
It's weird.
Right. We said, look, send humanitarian aid. We can fulfill that mission. Look, Jordan does not have a large economy. They do not have a lot of natural resources. They are having a lot of refugees.
Which is weird because they sell all those sneakers.
Right. They're heirs.
Right.
They have a professional basketball player named after them. Right?
Right. You think they'd be loaded. What are they doing with all that money?
I don't know. Maybe he's not popular anymore, so I don't know. So send them humanitarian aid, right? Give them relief because we need Jordan to be stable in that region. Jordan has to be stable in that region, especially with Israel as the neighbor. We've talked about that. So send humanitarian aid, but we have no friends in Syria.
We don't have anyone that we know we can trust.
Right. So why are we going to get involved either side? And as far as Boner's statement of we're the only ones, that's not true. Putin could actually probably stop Assad.
Israel
could definitely stop
Without
Assad.
a doubt.
Right? What about China?
What about South Korea?
Even without firing any weapons, you think if Putin went to Assad and said, hey, knock that crap off,
he'd listen because he's his proxy.
Right. You think Assad would be like, no, Vlad.
We've said it before. Assad is Putin's bitch.
Assad and Vlad.
Vlad Assad.
It's kind of like...
That's almost like their Benefer.
Did you see the movie South Park? Do you think it's like Satan and Saddam? Like Vlad and Assad?
I don't think it's that funny.
You don't...
I think you're close on the relationship.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
The gravity of the relationship, but I just don't think it's that funny.
Okay.
So, Boehner, and
first of all, who does Boner think he is coming out saying we are the only ones? We're not.
We are certainly not.
And
you know what? Again, I've said this before. We are not a fan of the United Nations on this show. We don't believe the United Nations should even exist. I hate the fact that they take amazing real estate in New York and cost thousands of parking tickets. However, this administration has been such a kiss-ass to the UN from the word go that, as far as I'm concerned, if he doesn't want to seem like more of a weasel, and he already is, and we're going to play clips that'll prove it, why isn't he blaming this completely on the UN and taking it all? I know we pay for, 72% of their overall budget or whatever it is.
Something ridiculous.
That's all well and good. But if you're going to buy into that theory of international law, international norm, all that stuff, then stick with that narrative. This is the problem, and I really hope that the Syria thing will really start to draw people out. This is the problem with this guy from the beginning, is he changes direction constantly. He has no form plan. The only thing he knew anything about was passing Obamacare at the beginning, and even that, it's not like he wrote it.
He organized to get it passed, right?
He organized the community to pass it.
Right.
But that's really all he did.
Now,
ever since then, if it's not an executive order, he's screwed.
This brings up an interesting point. And I was actually been thinking about this for the past week. Remember, Great Britain gave the big middle finger to this country when they refused to pass a resolution authorizing force with the United States to be a partner. And I really believe, and there's nothing in the record of Great Britain that I've been able to find to back this up. So this is just my personal belief.
One of the first.
I believe that the British Parliament did that deliberately as a big middle finger to the Obama administration because we have not been a good friend to our traditional allies with Obama
not
in
at
the
all.
White House. And I think it's because he's an anti-colonialist. Thank you.
You'll get there.
I'll get there. Sorry, I haven't had enough rum tonight yet.
If you watch those debates, a lot of them, which I haven't seen. Listen, if you've never watched England's legislature have arguments, watch it. It's actually a lot of fun to watch. Ours can get very boring and drawn out. Theirs is very spirited, and they poke fun at each other like on the floor. It's amazing and fun to watch. However, they were calling the president out by name, and essentially some of them were saying he's leading us by the nose. He doesn't have the right to lead us by the nose. Essentially, what has he done for us? Why should we trust his intelligence now? But I think a lot of it.
But Great Britain does have their own intelligence agencies.
Oh, absolutely.
They do have their own
amazing intelligence agency.
And so, I mean, I don't think they have.
And they also have friends in Israel who they share intelligence with.
Right.
I don't know if they spy on Israel like we do because they're such a close ally, but
we spy on our own people. So why wouldn't we? Spy
Who don't
on
we
Israel?
spy on?
Right.
That is just maddening.
Who don't we spy on? Russia, Iran.
Right. Well, what do we need?
Egypt,
Why do we need?
Libya.
Why do we need to spy on Russia when we constantly transmit our information to him anyhow via to Vladimir, and we tell them everything we're going to do
in private when we have more flexibility.
Absolutely, and we ask their forgiveness. And look at right now with Syria, he's practically going to be begging Putin, please don't veto us. We really need this. What do you need to go in there for? It doesn't. Just don't veto us. It's either going to be that or Obama is going to be like a middle school girl whose boyfriend broke up with her 20 minutes before the dance, and they're both in the dance hall together, and he's just going to do everything there in the G20 he can to stay as far away from Putin as humanly possible just so he doesn't have to have the conversation. That's my belief.
Obama is such an amateur. Look, I really believe he has no idea what he's doing on a foreign policy scale. He really doesn't. I mean, look how bad the Middle East is destabilized on his watch. Look, Gaddafi. Gaddafi hasn't screwed with anybody since Reagan flew some A6s and dropped a bomb through his front door, right? Killed his son.
And the UN was quick to do that.
Yeah.
The UN was all over it. Oh, we'll get the coalition and we can activate NATO. And blah,
Reagan
blah,
was
blah,
like,
blah,
hey,
blah.
I got this.
Right.
Here's some intruders.
Right.
Right.
But this administration
let's look at Egypt.
We destroyed Egypt.
Egypt
whether they want to admit it or not.
Yep. It was completely stable.
Egypt.
It stabilized that entire. It had the largest military in the region. It completely stabilized that region.
And we all knew the guy in there wasn't the nicest guy in the world. However, like you said, not only did he stabilize the region, but he was one of the only countries in that region that would have an open conversation and regular visits with Israel and considered them a friend.
Absolutely. And that's why it was so stabilizing to have them in the region.
Huge
And
force,
this administration,
huge presence.
great Arab Spring, it's so awesome. We love everybody. Let's smoke dope and listen to wear Birkenstocks and be flower children and park our Volkswagens. I mean,
it's going to be peaceful.
That's how it's going to be peaceful. It's
movement.
great.
It's going to be peaceful.
It's awesome. Muslim Brotherhood, who are they? They don't know. They're fine. They just
sound like
evil dictators. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, he has zero idea what he's doing, and his policies, and I don't know if it's him specifically, his team, his administration's policies have completely destabilized that region. And look, it's not Bush going into Iraq, which, by the way, many Democrats were for before it was politically unpopular
before they were hipsters, and it was cool to be against it. And by the way, the majority of the international community was all for it.
But now I see this vote with Great Britain. Again, I haven't read the transcript, so I don't know specifically their reasoning for not even bringing it to a vote because they don't have the votes to make it pass. I think it was like a trial vote or whatnot. I really believe it's a big, like I said, middle finger to this administration because they have been so horrible in foreign affairs. We have not been a friend to those who have been our friends
at all,
and we've tried to be friends with those that hate us.
Well, it's that whole acceptance thing. Like the whole world must love us. Hey,
I think he's kind of like a stripper. I mean, right? He's got like daddy issues or something, and so he wants everybody to love him. So he takes his clothes off and just bends over for whoever treats him like shit. Well, am I wrong?
But he tries harder to get the lap dances from the guys that aren't paying any attention to him.
Tell me where my philosophy is wrong.
Right? I'm not saying it's wrong at all.
Like you get your best lap dance from the stripper that you treat like crap, right? And so who does Obama go to for those dances? Oh, Putin. He treats us like crap.
Right.
I've got daddy issues, right? Let me dance on this pole right here at the UN. And
he just keeps reaching out to these countries who have historically hated us. And instead of letting our allies be our allies and letting it be what it has been for the last couple hundred years, I'm the great community. Look at me. I got a Nobel Peace Prize. Oh, by the way, I want to bomb Syria. Real peaceful, Chief. real peaceful.
He got a Nobel Peace Prize his first day in office, I think. Seriously, well,
You want to talk about the typical liberal progressive dream?
Right.
Hey, you just showed up. Here's your award.
I think there's video of Obama in a strip club. I think there's audio. I think.
And maybe not.
You want to hug me? Oh, what rhymes with hug me? I love that part.
What is that? Was that him?
That was a party weekend.
I think.
Listen, do you know how expensive it is to go through Harvard? You can't just get the funds from anywhere. It's not like the government just gives out. That's not important. But what is important?
It's not like the government controls the. Listen,
Right.
anyways, I don't know where I was going with that.
So, we also had something from Diane Frankenstein, who also spoke with Pelosi and Boehner. What a weird threesome that is.
You know what? When you said what a weird threesome that is, I didn't
mean it.
The picture is there.
I'm
now
sorry.
It's burned into my skull. I can't unvisualize that. So I'm just going to have to make a cartoon movie and put it up on our website. So
both the president made the case, Secretary of State made the case. I think the discussion was appropriate, and my hope is that members left this meeting with a great sense of purpose, and that purpose is to get this passed in both houses.
She also went on to say, fire bad, because she's the Frankenstein.
Diane.
Fire's
bad. That joke didn't work.
So the three of them are now all for it. So now you have the leader, quote-unquote, leader of the GOP in the House.
The speaker.
One of the senior Democrat in the House, Senator Feinstein, who is the senior lackey for the Obama administration, I believe, in the Senate. I don't know.
McCain is coming in.
He's coming.
I think he's vying for that spot. Pretty really good,
is.
Right? He and Harry Reid are.
Well, you know what it is?
It's almost like they've morphed into one. Harry McCain.
Harry McCain. John Reid. I think Senator McCain has noticed that when Feinstein's in the president's lap, he only takes up one leg. So he sees that other leg is open. Have you ever had two dogs? When you're petting one and the other one's like, oh, I can get in there.
Right, but why does he lay his head there?
Couldn't
right?
tell ya.
Just sit on the leg.
It's always nap time when you're his age.
This is true.
You have to catch a quick nap before the 2 o'clock senior special.
Or poker.
The ground round.
I can see him in Hometown Buffet.
No, Mr. McCain, it's not 3:30 yet. Come on! My watch clearly says 3:30 Arizona time. Get out, John. Oh, man, again, appreciate his service to our country, but wish it ended a long time ago. So Obama's over in Sweden, speaking of Syria. And do you remember, what was it, a little over a year ago when the president called a red line?
No, but he didn't call a red line.
We have been very clear to the Assad regime, but also to other players on the ground that a red line for us is we start seeing a whole bunch of chemical weapons moving around or being utilized.
Now, hang on a sec. I have to defend him on this.
Okay.
He said a red line for us would be if a whole bunch got moved around or started being utilized. They haven't used a whole bunch.
But
because
they've
he
moved
clearly,
them all since we've talked about.
But what's his definition of a whole bunch? So if they only have 1,000 and they move 1,000, maybe his definition of a whole bunch is 1,100. So clearly,
1,002.
They don't have a whole bunch. So I kind of got to defend the president on this one, right? They have not used or moved around a whole bunch of chemical weapons.
Well, they have. Because once we've started beating our drums to go in and tomahawk them, they've moved them all.
Right. Once we started sending smoke signals.
I just realized that.
Right. No, that was perfect. Once we put the war paint on, I see what you did.
Oh, there goes all of our Native American listeners. Anyhow, once we started doing that, They did exactly that. They started dispersing all their chemical weapons in and around, out of the bases, in and around, probably in cities like all these other tyrants do. They're going to hide them where they don't want them to be bombed, so they're going to put them under apartments or whatever.
Good, hit them.
So that is now both lines crossed. The red line is the use and moving them around.
No. He clearly said a whole bunch.
We'll
listen, he's a snake.
I really want some reporter to go, Mr. President, what's a whole bunch?
We just did. Hang on. Mr. President, what's a whole bunch?
I meant one that he might actually answer. He would never answer us.
He would never answer that question.
So,
well, it's a subject I can hear at the Carney now, right? Yeah. Well, a whole bunch is. Come on, really, that's a serious question. I mean, that's silly. Can we move on to something else? A whole bunch. I don't even know where to. Can you see it?
That's the Carney music.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I absolutely see it. So today, Obama wanted to clarify a little bit on the red line, and this is how you know he's not sure if he's going to get approval from Congress, and if he doesn't, if he's going to bomb. And I think it's funny that all of a sudden he's flip-flopping to this.
First of all, I didn't set a red line. The world set a red line.
Oh.
The world set a red line when governments representing 98% of the world's population said the use of chemical weapons are abhorrent and passed a treaty forbidding their use even when countries are engaged in war. My credibility is not on the line. The international community's credibility is on the line.
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Right? You didn't do it. Somebody else did. I couldn't have possibly set a red line when the entire international community has done it for me. You know what that was?
Ooh, I love to dance a little sidestep. Now they see me, now they don't have come and gone.
Only he's off teleprompter, so he really made himself look like a buffoon. Even more so than usual.
No, his credibility is not on the line. He said so. I mean, how can he look like a buffoon when he clearly said his credibility is not on the line?
But this is once again him changing direction. Hey, you know what? If there's chemical weapons, it's a red line. Chemical weapons we use. We
whole
take
bunch.
Military action, and I don't necessarily need Congress's approval. Oh, I do? All right. I'm going to go get Congress's approval. They may not give you approval. I didn't set the red line. The international community did. Nobody has ever said that.
He needs Congress.
Listen, I don't know what I say. I just open my mouth and crap comes out. It's a little trick McCain taught me when we were in the Senate.
He can use troops. He can launch missiles. He cannot declare war.
Right.
And unless he's looking for a declaration of war to commit troops or something of that nature, I don't have any problem constitutionally with him launching some missiles. I don't think it's the right play.
Right.
I don't think he needs congressional approval to do it. I would prefer he gets congressional approval to launch some missiles, but he doesn't have to do it.
Right. The problem is, and you and I have talked about, if he launches missiles, and we're going to get into the whole boots on the ground with Kerry thing later, but it's what those missiles will cause, and not just the explosion and the damage to Assad's stuff, what it does to that region. He doesn't need approval to launch those missiles. Then what's going to happen is if Syria, which they've said they're going to do, as soon as we launch a missile, they're going to start attacking Israel. Well, now our national security is at risk because our allies being attacked. We have assets over there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
That's an emergency. He can engage troops while awaiting for
60 days.
Yep, while awaiting for approval from Congress.
And at that point, he knows, and rightfully so, at that point, if he's going to cause that mess, which I'm totally against, but if they start attacking our allies as a result of our actions, especially Israel, I think we do then hold that responsibility to help defend them. Not that Israel needs it. We've talked about this before.
I wouldn't say that it's a result of our actions because we're responding to the fact that they used chemical weapons. So I'm not going to blame the rape victim. But I do think that it's the wrong play in this case, again, given the circumstances of who's fighting over in Syria. But we talked about that.
But we're playing a victim. Hold on. We're not the victim. The victim are the people in Syria. We're playing a victim because it's convenient right now.
And that's what I'm saying. If we play the victim because somebody attacks us, it's not because we attacked them.
Right.
We attacked them because of their chemical weapon use.
Right. That's our reason.
Exactly.
But the simple fact of the matter is we don't. If the UN, the one that he loves so much, isn't going to do it, why are we going to put ourselves in a situation when the nation is overwhelmingly saying, "Hey, don't do this.
Yeah, don't.
The majority of the people in this country do not want to engage in this. You could be like David Cameron, who at least had the audacity to come out and said, "My country doesn't want to do this.
Oh,
my country doesn't want to do it. We're not going to do it."
You know who's been strangely silent on this whole thing, don't you?
Joe?
Well, yeah, he needs to be, though, right? But what about the Clintons?
They're letting him run down this road.
Absolutely, they are.
2016 is not far away.
Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton have not said a single word that I've been able to find. Right, I have not seen anything out in the media on this one way or another from the Clintons.
Yeah, and that's really strange considering Bill loves to get himself some FaceTime as much as he possibly can. And, I would say out of all the pundits on television, all the former military personnel that a lot of these agencies employ, it's really 80% of the people saying don't do this. You got your 20%, you're always going to have that. And I think that's a pretty good resonance of how the people in this country feel. I think people feel awful for the Syrian people. I feel awful for the Syrian people. He made a statement that was dumb, and now he's either going to save face and bomb Syria, which is just going to make him look like a bigger moron, or do nothing.
O'Reilly made a point. I was watching O'Reilly the other night, and he actually made a point. He said, the United States is kind of the last bastion of good. We're a good moral people, and we need to stand up when there are wrongs in the world. And he brought up, of course, I believe, like Nazi Germany and now Assad using chemical weapons on his people. And I agree with that to a point. I agree with that in that, yes, we need to stand up for those that cannot stand up for themselves when you have a clear victim population or party, right? And in the case of Nazi Germany, you had the Jewish people. And I think there are some who say, well, you have the innocent civilians in Syria. Okay, but who are they fighting against as the rebels, and then who do you weaken? And you can't. That is such a different thing politically, because who was Nazi Germany fighting against? Right? They were fighting against the British. They were fighting against us. They were fighting against the Russians. And we had there were clear lines. There were clear lines between good and evil.
Right.
There's not.
This
over in Syria, and that's the difference. And yes, we need to stand up for the citizens, but we can't stand up for the citizens at the expense of or in assisting evil one way or another, right? So that's why we say send the humanitarian aid, and I think it's a very different situation for those reasons. So I like O'Reilly, but I have to disagree with him in that the situations are different for that reason. You can't help one bad over another bad and expect to be the good guy.
Well, and again, this has been said a lot recently is, hey, if we got involved at the beginning, maybe we could identify the good from the bad.
I don't think we could have.
There was a better chance.
There was a better chance, but I don't think we could have.
You had a smaller group of freedom fighters.
We were involved in the beginning in Egypt, and that's turned out great, right?
But we caused Egypt.
Libya. That's turned out well.
Libya started by itself.
But we were involved, right?
We were
Arab
involved.
Spring,
No.
we had our fingers on the pulse.
I agree. I agree with you. But what I'm saying is we would have had a better chance of identifying at the beginning when it was that small group of the FSA who was led by the former Army general that they identified. They knew who he was. They knew his background. If you're gonna play God, if you will, at least play when the odds are in your favor, so you don't look stupid. But now it's so far out of control. There's no way even remotely of trying to tell. And that's the problem right now.
Look, we're up against the break. When we come back, we're going to get into the House hearings, and Kerry just got
annihilated.
Dude, that was beautiful.
Thank you very much.
That was beautiful.
Be back in 3.
Wow, I can't believe how beautiful. You need to record something like that so we can put it on the intro or the outro.
Yeah, I've been trying to sing for a while. That would really been one of the things that I love the most. Amazing. I appreciate that. I get a really good high-end range. I have good bass too.
People would love it.
Hey, if you care about what's going on in the world, you cannot afford to miss my show. Hi, this is Andrea Kaye, your host of The Andrea Kaye Show. It's not always about the money. Okay, it is always about the money. but it's also about politics, pop culture, and you. The only thing street about this show is the smarts. There's a reason they call me Dynamite in a Dress. And you'll find out why when you listen Tuesday mornings at 10 on Financial News and Talk.
Hello, I'm Paul, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is my professor, Dr. Larry Arnn, on the separation of church and state.
America's founders believed in the separation of church and state, in that the country was not to have an official religion or an official sect. But that did not mean that government was to be hostile to religion, or even indifferent to religion, as many today argue. In fact, America's founding document, the Declaration of Independence, includes both a reference to God as the author of the laws of nature and a confident assertion that human beings are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Far from being hostile or indifferent to religion, America's founders understood the theology of the Declaration to be an essential part of the education of citizens.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank all the wingnut leaders throughout the world to give our men and women of the armed forces a job, as well as all the anarchists, terrorists, and Occupy folks that give our men and women in uniform on the home front, firefighters, law enforcement personnel, and first responders, job security here in the States as well. So thank all you wingnuts out there. This is Sackhead Clint saying have a good day.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
And welcome back to the last part of the show. So today there was a bunch of congressional hearings.
Really? On what?
Fortunately, they sent that sharp-tongued devil, John Kerry, up to prove their point. It's sad to me that he is the Secretary of State, and I'll tell you why.
Was he on a boat and had to come in for this? Was it a swift boat?
Well, no, it was probably the yacht.
Huh.
You know, the one he moved to Rhode Island so he'd get out of paying taxes in Massachusetts?
You wouldn't do that. He's a liberal. He likes paying taxes, right? Because it helps the people.
Yeah.
Helps the little people.
It really does help the little
like
people.
You.
So first he was in the Senate because, hey, he spent some time there. He's got some good pull, right? Wouldn't you think?
Oh, yeah. He's well loved.
Yeah, Senator Rand Paul.
His friend, right?
Thank you, Secretary Kerry, for coming today. You mentioned in your remarks that we don't need politicians to go home and say we need to end foreign aid and we need to spend some of that money at home. Well, this might come as news to one of the most prominent politicians in our country who said in his re-election campaign that we need to do less nation building abroad and more nation building at home, and that would be your current boss, the President of the United States. So I don't think this is unique to Republicans or Democrats. In fact, it crosses all party lines. It's not me going home and creating an atmosphere where people are doubtful of foreign aid. It's that 80 to 90% of people are doubtful. We have 2 bridges in my state that are over 50 years old. The President came, and I flew down with him to talk about rebuilding them. I'm in favor of replacing bridges and rebuilding our infrastructure. But at the same time, we seem to not have enough money to keep the doors open around here, not enough money to keep the touring of the White House open. This administration sent an extra $250 million to Egypt. Many of us find that offensive. We can't even run the basic functions of government, and yet we send an extra $250 million in addition to the $2 billion we already send over there. So many of us are offended by this. The question I have for you is, the Mubarak family is said to be worth more than $10 billion. Most people say that a lot of that money came from our foreign aid. Mobutu ruled for many, many years in Central Africa. He was said to be worth millions upon millions, if not billions of dollars. His wife was called Gucci Mobutu. She was famous for going to Paris and shopping for shoes with a Louis Vuitton bag full of $500,000 in cash to $1 million in cash. That money was looted from the American Treasury. There is all kinds of examples of theft and kleptocracy. There's examples of our foreign aid being used to buy tear gas in Egypt, used to spray on the Egyptian people. So I don't think it even buys the goodwill of the people, because often it's stolen by their leaders who are unpopular in their country. So I think it's often counterproductive. But I think we're missing the boat here if you think that we're stoking the fires and that the people don't already believe this. This is something that is already in the psyche of the people. People are upset about it, would rather spend money at home. But I'd like your comments on the president's position, but also on the idea that a lot of foreign aid has been stolen by these leaders.
All right, so he's looking for the president's position. That's his job there.
I have a question, though.
Yeah.
He said Mobutu. Wasn't that the person in Zoolander?
Mobutu.
Oh, sorry.
I think you're right. He was the bad guy, wasn't he?
That's right.
It's all coming together.
It's all coming together.
Wait a minute. I'm getting an idea. So that was a fair statement. Asked him what the president's position was, but threw in the fact of, hey, let's be cautious about foreign aid because we know for a fact that it's being looted by some of these people that we've given it to.
Right, and he said something interesting. It was used by the Egyptian government to spray their people with... that wasn't a red line?
No, that was an okay chemical.
Oh, okay.
You have good chemicals and bad chemicals.
Okay.
I can't sit there. Next week I'll bring in the whole board that has all the good chemicals and bad chemicals.
Got it.
I just didn't think you were going to pick up on that tonight.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just...
Here's
details.
Mr. Kerry's long and annoying response.
Well, Senator,
I don't know what to say.
There's a difference between, some of the nation building that we've seen sometimes engaged in and good foreign aid programs that don't rise to the level necessarily of sort of nation building. But that's equivalent probably, and we'll wind up arguing about the smaller issue rather than the larger one here. So let me try to frame it this way. Has some money been stolen? Absolutely. But by the largest measure possible today, because of reforms that have been put in place, because of new accountability systems, because of the way aid is given now, because of something like the Millennium Challenge Corporation standards that are applied to investment and other kinds of things, the money, a lot of it doesn't go to governments anymore directly. It goes into either the investment or into the project, and it's quite controlled. And that's one of the reforms that's been put into place. And we often have a fight about that with some countries. For instance, Pakistan pushed very, very hard to say, no, we want it directly to the government. We said, no, we're going to do it this way to project and so forth, in order to have the kind of accountability that you're talking about, that we need. So historically, but some of the riches of people who have ripped off their own governments have not necessarily come from our aid. They've come from stealing from the revenues of their oil, or selling the diamonds and the rubies that they have in their resource-rich, mines. And there are plenty of ways that people have enriched themselves in some countries to the adversity of their people. That's something.
What? That's like saying, listen, they have women, so they use them for prostitutes. I mean, they're using their own resources that they get there in their country.
Well, I love the initial, some of the nation building we've done in the past, i.e. under the Bush administration, which is pretty much what he said.
Well, I like how I said, well, let me start this way or phrase it this way, or like, let me put it so that you poor little Republican who doesn't really understand how the world works, let me put it to you in terms you'll actually be able to understand.
Let me frame it in a way that your feeble little brain
right
can possibly understand.
Right, and you're not even a real Republican, you're a libertarian, so you really don't get it. So let me just go ahead and
Bad
do this.
guy A only takes a little bit of money from the big good guy us. Okay? Okay. But he steals money from his other guys and takes that too. That just proves that we're giving money to lousy people.
Yeah.
If they're stealing a little bit from us and a little bit from their people and they're robbing, we shouldn't be giving them money. And I love how he goes off on the, well, you know, we want to give directly to these projects like in Pakistan. They wanted us to give the money because apparently we used to just fly over with C-130s and just push out crates of money with parachutes that landed in these big palaces.
Right.
But now we give it directly to these projects.
Well, projects.
Do you remember when the unions in this country 50 years ago were looting and taking money ridiculously?
Now, projects don't work well here.
I know.
How the heck do they work over
and steal?
Yeah.
You see embezzlement all the time, and come on, don't tell me that that's a solution. Stop giving money to countries that don't deserve it. A, and B, can't control it. Why are we giving them the? Well, in Egypt, and this, that, and this guy was good, and they're stealing rubies and diamonds. And
okay.
Stop.
Well, then give the money to the Red Cross and send the Red Cross in there. Right? Right. You really want to help the people? Send it to organizations that help the people. Why are we doing projects in those companies? What's the project? Oh, we're building a new palace for the. What? How's that a project?
Well, it's a project for us.
Yeah, they're building a new chancellery. Oh, okay, thanks. Where's Albert Speer? I mean,
big projects going on over here.
Right.
Big projects. So this is the final, and they kind of go back and forth a little bit on the whole Kerry and Paul banter.
The president is correct, I believe, in his determination that President Assad can no longer represent the people of that country, and that the Syrian opposition is the broad-based international entity that is representative of the real aspirations of the Syrian people. Now, that's a different determination from actually deciding you can protect who's getting what. I've had conversations with General Dempsey, obviously, and I read his quote. I saw what he said. I think he really said, we're not certain we can do that yet, but we have to make certain, or we have to be sure. And that's exactly what we do have to do, and that's exactly what we're engaged in. That's why I have this meeting that I'm going to in Istanbul on the weekend. And a lot of discussion is taking place to be certain of that determination. I think what he's really saying is be sure before you make the decision, and he's right, and that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you. So be sure, if we can't trust them, and we don't have people on the ground there to learn who's who, which we're not going to do, because he came out and said today, I will not put boots on the ground in Syria, how are we going to be sure?
Maybe he meant that literally. Maybe like he's not going to fly as part of his humanitarian package. He's not going to fly
Large
over
amount of boots.
And drop a lot of boots for people to wear because maybe there's a footwear shortage.
Wouldn't that be great if somebody called him out? Hey, Mr. Kerry, that's all well and good about the boots, but what about soldiers? Oh, yeah, no, we're planning on sending that.
Right.
Oh, damn, you got me. Yeah, I see through you.
What's this big Red Wing contract with, oh, it's been canceled. That's because we're not giving them boots. Oh.
Why the hell are we giving them $2 billion in boots?
Right. No, we said we weren't going to give them boots on the ground.
What's the boot plan? Should we use a parachute? Oh, I picture the C-130 and like Syrians walking down the street and just parades of boots falling on them from above.
Right. Don't let them touch the ground. We promised our people.
So, spirited debate as you could possibly get from Kerry. That's about as excited as he gets for the most part. So I went across the way and he decided to visit the other house, if you will. And he spoke with Representative Duncan from South Carolina, who asked him this.
I can't discuss the possibility of U.S. involvement in Syria's civil war without also talking about Benghazi. The administration has a serious credibility issue with the American people due to the unanswered questions surrounding the terrorist attack in Benghazi almost a year ago. When you factor in the IRS targeting of conservative groups, the AP and James Rosen issues, Fast and Furious, and the NSA spying programs, bottom line is that there's a need for accountability and trust building from the administration. To paraphrase Friedrich Nietzsche, he said, "I'm not upset over you not telling me the truth. I'm upset because from now on I can't believe you." The administration has a credibility issue. In my opinion, Secretaries Kerry and Hagel, Benghazi is germane to the discussions in Syria because, as you stated, Mr. Secretary, the world was and is watching for our response, but after almost a year of not bringing anyone to justice in Benghazi, they are watching our response. Mr. Kerry, your predecessor asked, what difference does it make now? Well, this is the difference, Mr. Secretary. These issues call into question the accountability of this administration, its commitment to the personnel on the ground, and the judgment that it uses when making these determinations. The American people deserve answers before we move forward talking about military involvement in Syria. Section 4 of your testimony today said this is about accountability. Sure it is. The American people deserve answers about Benghazi before we move forward with military involvement in Syria's civil war. This is the picture. You're not be able to see it from there. You might be able to see it on the screen, but this is a picture of Tyrone Woods given to me by his father, Charles Woods, a Navy SEAL. The Woods family deserve answers. He was killed in Benghazi. America deserves answers before we send another man or woman the caliber of Ty Woods into harm's way, especially in another country's civil war, especially when there's no clear indication that there's an imminent threat to the United States. I don't question that chemical weapons were used in Syria. I've looked at the classified briefings. I do ask that, if so, where are the other signatory countries of the Chemical Weapons Convention as the U.S. beats the drums of war against this regime in Syria? I have spoken to hundreds of constituents. This represents about 300 emails that my office has gotten, and not a one member in my district in South Carolina, or the emails of people that have contacted my office say, go to Syria and fight this regime. To a letter, they say, no, do not go into Syria. Don't get involved in their civil war. I spoke to 8th graders, about 150 8th graders yesterday. They get it. They get it that we shouldn't be drug into someone else's civil war where there are no good guys. There are no good guys to get behind here, and I can only envision an escalation of this current conflict. The same administration that was seemingly so quick to involve the U.S. in Syria now was reluctant to use the same resources at its disposal to attempt to rescue the 4 brave Americans that fought for their lives in Benghazi. Mr. Kerry, you have never been one that has advocated for anything other than caution when involving U.S. forces in past conflicts. The same is true for the President and the Vice President. Is the power of the executive branch so intoxicating that you would abandon past caution in favor of pulling the trigger on a military response so quickly? The reason that I say Benghazi is germane to our discussions on Syria is this. Secretary Kerry, have there been any efforts on the part of the United States, directly or indirectly, to provide weapons to the Syrian rebels, and that would also include facilitating the transfer of weapons from Libyan rebels to the Syrian rebels?
Hey, you remember Benghazi? That thing that actually happened that everyone's ignoring now?
No, it didn't happen. Everything's fine. It's fine.
I was blown away because I just thought that he nailed it. Went a little off topic here and there, but he nailed it overall. I think the administration and the people of this country need to hear that argument of, hey, you're so quick to do this, but you weren't so quick to help in Benghazi. Benghazi's been the forgotten tragedy. The more we get into Syria, the more it's being forgotten.
Do you think that's by design?
Of course it is. It's wag the dog all over again.
Because you haven't heard anything about Benghazi since the Syria
There's
conflict,
a war in
right?
Albania. Wag the dog.
Yep.
That's the reason we talked about that last week. This war, as much as he's going to lose that little bit of the hippie commune hugger, people are like, oh, my God, I can't believe we're going to bomb somebody again.
Oh, no, he's going to lose more than that. Nobody wants this.
I think that in his mind, but it's in his mind. It's in the mind of Valerie Jarrett and all the people that feed to him. It's, hey, look this is going to get and we have to worry about an election in a few years. We have midterms coming up. We have to do something to get people's minds off of Benghazi.
This is defensible. Benghazi's not.
Right.
Right? Even if a majority of the American public does not agree with going in there or taking any action in Syria, it can be defended to some degree.
Benghazi was just...
Inaction in Benghazi cannot at all.
Absolutely lost. Here is Mr. Kerry's response to Representative Duncan.
Have there been efforts to
put weapons in the hands of Syrian rebels and also transfer weapons from Libya to Syria?
Well, let me begin, Congressman, by challenging your proposition that I've never done anything except advocate caution because I volunteered to fight for my country, and that wasn't a cautious thing to do when I did it.
Mr. Secretary,
secondly, when I was in the Senate, I'm going to finish, Congressman. I am going to finish. When I was in the United States Senate, I supported military action in any number of occasions, including Grenada, Panama. I can run a list of them. And I am not going to sit here and be told by you that I don't have a sense of what the judgment is with respect to this. We're talking about people being killed by gas, and you want to go talk about Benghazi and Fast and Furious.
Absolutely want to talk about Benghazi because 4 Americans lost their lives. I have sympathy for the people in Syria.
Mr. Kerry went on to say, what part don't you get? I'm a war-mongering lunatic. I voted for every war. I even volunteered to go. I don't know what's so hard for you to see.
Right.
I voted for war.
Never mind.
I
came back and testified about how horrible our troops are.
That's
but
not
listen,
important. I was ready to go.
Yeah.
Maybe have we done a psych test on him?
Why would we do a psych test on him?
Maybe he enjoys hurting people. That's why he's so quick to go to war. You heard it say it himself, right?
Well, yeah.
What a bizarre response. Fortunately, they settled it like gentlemen here.
And I do think there should be a worldwide response, but we should act cautiously.
Yeah, well,
before we act
Congressman, we are acting cautiously.
Yeah.
We are acting so cautiously that the President of the United States was accused of not acting because he wanted to have sufficient evidence and he wanted to build the case properly.
It's been 15 days.
Congressman,
we go now
Congressman,
to Mr.
Chairman, point of privilege here. This is important. I think this is important. I think it is important whether or not we're going into Syria in a way that the Congressman describes, which I think most people in America don't want us to do. We don't want to do that. That's why the President has said no boots on the ground. This is not about getting into Syria's civil war. This is about enforcing the principle that people shouldn't be allowed to gas their citizens with impunity. And if we don't vote to do this, Assad will interpret from you that he's free to go and do this any day he wants to. That's what this is about, not getting involved in Syria's civil war. So let's draw the proper distinction here, Congressman. We don't deserve to drag this into yet another Benghazi discussion when the real issue here is whether or not the Congress is going to stand up for international norms with respect to dictators that have only been broken twice until Assad, Hitler and Saddam Hussein. And if we give license to somebody to continue that, shame on us.
Well, we go now to Mr.
Wait, wasn't Saddam Hussein in Iraq?
Yeah, you remember
weren't they crying about being involved in Iraq? And now he's what?
It's what's old is new again. It's
you
amazing.
Can't do that.
It is amazing. You can't triple stamp a double stamp, Lloyd. That's exactly what's going on with those two. It's Dumb and Dumber.
Listen, only Hitler and Saddam Hussein before Assad. Okay, well, somebody took care of Hitler. That was us. And somebody took care of Saddam. That was Bush.
Right.
Evil Bush.
Remember how much you hated him?
Who never should have gone in there because we never found the weapons. But you just used him in your argument about Syria.
That's not the point.
No, that's not. Listen, no, I didn't. I said Saddam.
We didn't find them. Well, that's because he used them all and sold the rest. Yeah, but we didn't find them.
Right.
No, actually, we did find a small amount. Yeah, but we didn't find them, Congressman. Right. And you little pissant, Congressman, and you're pretty much nothing in the great scheme of things. I don't even know why I'm talking to you, but I'm going to finish my point. You don't have the right to question me. I'm going to evoke privilege.
Right. You have no privilege. This is our meeting.
Well, then I'm going to have you shown to the door.
Yeah, no.
Get off my boat.
No, we're not on your boat this time. You're usually there when you conduct. Okay, it's Grey Poupon, but I mean, can you get anything right, Mr. Kerry?
You want to talk about a complete role reversal ass?
Yeah.
And the funny part is at least with Iraq, as we said last week, a lot more people were involved in going into Iraq. a lot of people in the Senate, this country as a whole was for it.
Yeah.
And now,
we're not going into Syria. We're just going to spend some bombs or some tomahawks. We're going to do. It's not
bad news for you.
We're not going in there,
folks. It doesn't matter what Congress votes. He's going to do it. At this point, he's going to do it because it's the only, like you said, it's defensible.
Yep, it's defensible.
If you've ever seen the play Chicago, there's a whole song about it in there that talks about how it's better to be defensible than not have anything to stand on. It's pretty much what it is.
It's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out, especially over the upcoming 2 weeks.
Yeah, we are off next week.
We're off next week. There will be.
We're going to play some best of stuff.
Yeah, we'll play some best of. It'll be an interesting show nonetheless.
I may come in and do what I did last time, play a best of clips and kind of DJ it.
DJ live, it's not a big deal. But it's going to be interesting to see it. We're going to have a lot to talk about when we come back. Try and catch Sackhead Michaela's next article. It's
coming real soon.
It's coming real soon.
We're going to lock her in the closet until she slips out of the door.
Let's hold our breath.
Enjoy your vacation.
My friend, it's been a pleasure.
I will see you in 2 weeks.
You got it. Have a good night.
Oh, that's it?
Well, what else did you want?
Well, normally we kind of have a little bit of an out banter.
We don't have out banter.
No, we do. We talk about it a little bit as the show starts.
No, we don't have out banter. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, we do that thing where it fades out.
No. We're done. We're out.
Well, now I'm sad. I feel like we've done it wrong.
Done anything wrong.
Should we do a thing?
Why would we do a thing? The show's over. It's not.
Should we start now?
Doing anything?
You think they all left?
Who?
The people that were listening?
I don't know. And nobody listens to us.
How about this? I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Let's see if anyone can guess it.
9.
Damn it. All right, well, I guess I'll shut the show off.
I'm guessing of a name.
Ooh, Sean.
Ken.
Ken's a good name.
Ken is a great name.
Ken's the name of a strong man.
Ken would be a great name for a black man. A strong, conservative black man.
I think you're right. I think that's somebody. I think the name Ken means leader right away.
I think
as soon as you hear the word Ken, you go, that guy's a leader. Right off the bat. And probably an amazing talk show host. I'm just saying, the name Ken, talk show, kind of goes hand in hand.
It really does. And what a great name for a doll, right? For like a smoking hot blonde. I'm just throwing it out there.
Just saying, it's something to think about.
I'm talking about for Barbie. What is wrong with you? God.
Did she say blow-up doll?
I think this is weird. I don't understand what Michaela thinks she's doing right now.
Well, I think we should stop it.
I thought we stopped a long time ago.
I know. You think we can charge for this extra content?
Yeah, 99 cents on iTunes. We've been getting away with it for a while.
99 cents a minute.
What is this, your 900
you
number?
You can get us on 1-900 Sackheads. No, don't call that number, please. Just like don't search Sackheads with the safe search on. Don't do that.
Don't do it. You mean off.
Right. That's exactly what I meant. See you in 2 weeks, folks.
You might see Miley Cyrus, just saying.